Learning English doesn't have to be hard or boring. What if every new word, every grammar structure, and every expression came to you through an exciting adventure? That's exactly what this channel is for. Today's story will improve your English without you even realizing it. So, sit back, enjoy the ride, and before we start, make sure to subscribe to the channel, like this video, and hit the bell icon so you don't miss the daily stories that help you learn faster, easier, and with more fun. Leo had never seen a desert before. Not in real life, at least. He had grown up around mountains, forests, and cold winters. The desert, with its golden sand, wide skies, and intense heat, felt like something from another world. When he arrived in Dubai, everything felt bigger and shinier than expected. Glass towers touched the sky. Cars purred quietly along clean roads. The airport alone felt like a city. Leo wasn't there for business or shopping. He came for something else, an adventure in the desert. He signed up for a desert safari, the kind where you ride in a jeep across giant sand dunes, watch the sunset, and eat under the stars. He had seen videos of it online, with music and fast driving and people laughing as sand sprayed in the air. On the day of the safari, Leo packed a small bag. He brought water, sunglasses, a hat, and a scarf to keep the sand out of his mouth. A driver picked him up from his hotel in a white SUV. Inside the car were a few other tourists, each with excited eyes and camera phones. They drove out of the city, past construction sites, tall fences, and then nothing. Just miles and miles of golden sand. The sky was bright, and the heat pressed down like a heavy blanket. But Leo loved it. This was why he came. The driver lowered the tire pressure, smiled, and then began driving up and down the dunes. The car moved like a boat on waves. Sand flew in every direction. People laughed and held on to the seats. Leo's heart beat fast. It was better than any roller coaster. After a while, the car stopped on top of a tall dune. Everyone got out to take photos. The view was endless. Sand stretched far in every direction, soft and perfect, like a sea frozen in motion. The wind was light, brushing against Leo's face. The group walked around the top of the dune, taking pictures and talking quietly. Leo walked a little further, trying to find the best angle for a photo. He saw some camel tracks in the sand and followed them a short distance, not too far. He took his photo, then turned back. But something didn't look right. The dune looked the same, but the people were gone. No cars. No voices. Just wind and sand. He climbed higher, trying to see more. Maybe they had moved down to a lower dune. Maybe the car had just turned a corner. But the horizon was empty. Leo's heart dropped into his stomach. Had they left him? That couldn't be possible. He hadn't gone far. He hadn't been gone long. He shouted, just in case someone could hear. His voice disappeared into the dry air. He tried calling on his phone, but there was no signal. Only a black screen with one word. Searching. For a moment, Leo stood completely still. The wind touched his ears. The sun felt stronger now. He looked around and realized something strange. Every direction looked the same. He checked his footprints. They were fading fast. The wind was already pushing sand into them. He felt a wave of panic rise, but he pushed it down. Stay calm, he thought. Think. The sun was still high. That meant he had plenty of daylight. He had water. He wasn't hurt. He just had to figure out which direction the cars had gone. He climbed the nearest dune, higher than the one he was on before. His legs sank with every step, but he kept going. At the top, he saw it, a set of tire tracks curving down and disappearing behind a ridge. He smiled with relief. If he followed those tracks, he would find something. Maybe the cars, maybe the camp. He took a long sip of water, tied the scarf over his nose and mouth, and started walking. The sand made each step difficult. His legs worked hard, and sweat covered his back. But he kept moving, following the tire marks. They twisted and turned. Sometimes they vanished in soft spots. Sometimes the wind almost erased them. But Leo trusted his eyes and stayed on the trail. After what felt like a long time, he saw something in the distance. A shape. Maybe a tent. Maybe a jeep. He walked faster, legs burning. The shape grew clearer. It was a small camp with colorful rugs, lanterns, and people sitting on low cushions. He almost laughed out loud. A guide noticed him and walked over, eyebrows raised. Leo explained what had happened with a few quick words and hand gestures. The man nodded, then smiled and pointed to a jeep nearby. Apparently, his group had moved ahead without counting everyone. It wasn't common, but it happened sometimes. Leo had just taken a few steps too far. They gave him a cold drink and a place to sit. His legs were shaking from the walk, but inside he felt proud. He had stayed calm. He had found his way. And now he was sitting in the middle of the desert, watching the sky turn orange as the sun began to fall. Later that evening, the full group reunited for dinner under the stars. There were long tables with food, traditional music, and the sound of people laughing. No one else knew that Leo had been lost in the desert just hours earlier. As he sat there, watching the stars appear one by one, he realized something important. Sometimes, an adventure doesn't go the way you expect. Sometimes it goes better. What a ride! You just followed Leo across the desert and learned real English the natural way, through a story. You picked up new vocabulary, saw how verbs work in the past tense, and learned how to describe places, feelings, and actions without needing boring grammar explanations. That's the power of storytelling. It sticks, it teaches, and it makes learning fun. If you liked this story, show some love by clicking the like button, subscribing, and leaving a comment below. Tell us, what would you do if you were left behind in the desert? We post a new English story every single day, so come back tomorrow for another adventure.